Okay, so insight number 15. Dramatic and subtle differences. So we have dramatic and subtle. Means very light. The opposite of dramatic. Dramatic and subtle differences. The mind is captured by them. Such as cold water or ice cream on a hot day. Sweet and sour sauce. These are opposing elements, differences. Dramatic differences or subtle differences. And the subtle and dramatic curves of the human body. So you have parts of the body that are quite curvy, quite protruding or inward, and there's parts of the body which are quite subtle in their curvature, very subtle. So sweet and sour, and the subtle and dramatic curves of the human body. Explanation. We mentioned that the mind is interested in differences. So it's a distinguishing device. It can just tell the difference between this and here. The greater the difference, the more dramatic and impact, the more dramatic and impact it has on the mind. So the more difference it is, the more difference it has, the more distinguished difference the mind is thus powerfully in the same amount of difference, because thus the same amount is impacted. So if the difference is this much, you're like, oh, it's okay. If it's this much, you go, oh. And an example would be a bill. Let's say you have a bill and they made a mistake of 2 cents. You say, hey, what's going on? 2 cents. Okay, you may talk to the manager or not, or just leave it and go. It's 2 cents. Even if people give the 1 cent away, who cares? Forget about it. But if the bill is difference of £5, $5, or $10, $20, $100, then they say, hey, what's going on? How come $100, somebody's charging me $100 extra? It's impacting you. Hey, Now, so like for example, one can view of a situation of where somebody's being overcharged for some service, and it could be 2 cents, and the person may say, hey, why is this my being charged this much? Now, in that situation that he's making a big deal about is 2 cents difference, it may not be the 2 cents. It may be that the principle behind it. He's focused on the principle of right and wrong, and he says, I don't want to be treated incorrectly, unjustly. And so therefore, for this person, it could be that any kind of difference he does not like. It's a dramatic difference to him, because his concept is just and unjust. Principle of the idea is nothing should be done unjustly. So to him, it might be a big deal. I remember I went to a place, I was washing my clothes, and I washed my clothes in a laundromat place. Anyway, so they gave me a powder. This cup of powder. I usually use half. I'm used to just using half. I don't need the whole. So sometimes the gentleman gives it to me for half. Half the price. So 25p instead of 50p. So I use the half, and I'm great. That's great. Now, one time I went to this laundromat, and this other person was working, and I said, I just need half. They still wanted to charge me 50p for the whole, even though I only wanted the half. And I said, I just want the half. So they said, no, you got to buy the whole. Ridiculous. The person was trying to be reasonable by saying, why don't you use the rest later? But I was homeless, so I'm not going to carry around extra 50p of powder. It's ridiculous. So I just couldn't understand why they can't charge me the amount that I'm using, 25p. Anyway, so I was disturbed by this, meaning I didn't like the principle of being treated unjustly. I like principles, so didn't like it. So anyway, while I was, it just disturbed me, and I was like, oh, geez, this is terrible. And I put the coins in the wrong machine, wrong number of the machine. So it was 350. I put the wrong coins in the wrong machine, and so I had to put another 350 for the right machine. It didn't bother me much, me putting 350 in the wrong machine. I just didn't want to deal with this person anymore. Didn't want to make a hassle, forget it. Just put 350 in for the other machine. Now, the other person, the worker, mistakenly thought that, oh my God, they realized, and the person who was working there realized, oh my God, this guy made a big deal about 50 pence, actually 25 pence, And now he's done, I've spent 350 in the wrong machine. What am I going to do about that now? They were really afraid. Oh my God, it was a girl. And she's like, oh my God, what is this guy going to do now for 350? Oh my God. And, she was working there alone. Now, her idea was that, more than likely her idea was that, oh, I'm making a big deal about money. But for me, it was not about the money. It was about the principle of the thing. Not wanting to be treated unjustly, So, anyway, so I was just doing my laundry, and she had called the owner of the place saying something about the story possibly, and come over because this guy may do something, Me, I might do something. I'm not doing anything. I'm just washing my clothes. I don't care. Anyway, so the owner came and said hello to me. Hello, how's it going? Everything. I said, everything's fine. Yeah, it's great. How are you doing? Oh, yeah. All right, continuing on insight number 15. So the greater the difference, the more dramatic an impact it has on the mind. Examples are the curves of a woman's breast, or the male buttocks, etc. So quite round, and so therefore it's quite dramatic. I remember talking to a gentleman once, and he said, wow, the buttocks, it's very big, it impacts him greatly. Oh, I said, yeah, it's very big and round, and so therefore it impacts you, yeah, it's normal. The more ups and downs the body has, ups and downs, inside and out, the more insides and outs the body has, the more it will intrigue the mind. So we're talking about the dramatic and subtle differences. It's a cold ice cream and a hot day. So hot day, cold ice cream. Wow. Enjoyable. Because the body's hot and you want to have something cold, and the differences are impacting your senses and therefore your mind. And you're like, this is so good. Sweet and sour. That's the same principle. When you're having sweet and sour, my understanding is that your sweet and sour are happening at the same time in the mouth, but your consciousness darts back and forth between the two tastes. So you're aware of the sweet, then you're aware of the sour, and you're like, oh, this is so nice. The difference is the sweet, the sour. Oh, no. The same is true in art. Look at art. Usually if you have a piece that is plain, flat like a cardboard or a box, it is looked on as boring, often. Yet if you start twisting and bending things and adding color and odd shapes, you start to wonder about it. It intrigues you. Your mind wonders what this particular piece of art is trying to say. It works the other way around also. If a piece of artwork is bland, having just a flat surface with no color, in the midst of all these other pieces of odd shapes, that bland one, the odd one standing out, might intrigue your mind to think, why is it exceedingly bland? Or what is this piece trying to say? Again, the body with its dimensions is very intriguing to the mind. capturing the mind's attention. So here, basically, in this insight, is talking about the dramatic and subtle differences. The mind is captured by them. I remember not being attracted to white females. Genuinely, I was not attracted, because I'm a Middle Easterner, so I'm from India and Iran, and so when I see myself, I'm quite aware of distinguishing quite broad, nose that is outside, eyes inside, all those things, all these differences are quite dramatic. So I'm quite conscious of this, and this beauty. So when I used to see females, I used to think it's just white females. I used to just think this is a blank white sheet of paper, and I used to think it's no distinguishing features, but this was just my misperception. I didn't really perceive correctly. So anyway, so one day I was invited to a party, a gathering, and in this gathering I got to talk to a female, and as it is, I'm usually not when I'm listening to somebody, I don't really look at them, because I really want to listen to what they say, and I don't want the visuals to distract from the hearing of the subject matter. So I often look away as we're talking, just to hear what the person has to say. And also sometimes visual distracts, So the person might be thinking, why are they looking at me, this and that. I don't want to deal with that. So a degree of uncomfortableness if you look at them too much, too long, whatever. This was brought out, I brought this up in conversation. The person said to me, no, you don't have to have that with me. I said, okay, good. So we sat and talked, and not once did I look away. For 3 hours straight, we're talking, and I'm looking at her straight. This is a white female. So as we're talking, within this 3-hour period, I became aware of her subtle features, such as the nose, the cheeks, and all these things. There were features that were subtle, very, very subtle, right? And so within the subtlety, which I now became aware of, I started to become attracted to. I became aware of the attractiveness of the white female, which is just as you have Middle Easterners who are usually the nose is quite out, and all these things are quite out and in and out, quite distinguished, strong dramatic differences, and so therefore there's a beauty in that. Also, there is a beauty in the subtle features of a being which the nose is slightly out, and the curves are ever so curvy, very slight and so subtle, and so there is beauty in that. And so therefore, in that 3-hour instance, I became aware of the beauty and the subtleness of the white female. Okay, good.